Oh, we're live according to everything on my screens. I am aware that currently my YouTube camera is ill-aligned, so it must be Monday night, and this must be the Toronto Beer Podcast, and I must be your host, Chris Schreier. Tell you what, I'm going to fix this camera while we listen to my buddy Rob Currie and the Currie brothers, just like always, covering for all my sins. Rob Currie, thank you, buddy. Let's do it. Yes, indeed, as always, that is our theme. Link, Ray Gun. That camera has been fixed. It's late. It's like 9:15. This is like old-fashioned times. This is like, right now we're in season 12. This is pure season 7 vibes. This 9:15 start time. What are we doing? What are we doing is we're having we have a bit of a realignment, but that isn't as big a problem. I'm just having a bit of a day, but I'm feeling a lot better now that I'm with my friends on the Toronto Beer Podcast. And being a grown-up doesn't mean anything, because no grown-up has a podcast. Podcasts are clearly run entirely by people who still think they're children, because talking into a microphone is easier than doing something real. So that's where we're at, friends. By the way, speaking of things that I've screwed up, did I screw that up? I might be conflating things here. But anyway, here's the point. The point is, I accidentally already poured the beer. I was so discombobulated when I sat down here, guys. And yeah, I don't need to fill you in on the details. It's not a big deal. Just a little out of sorts mentally, but I'm feeling better now. But when I sat down, I poured my beer. I didn't even have anything active. I just poured it. And then I went, well, that was a stupid decision. What are the kids at home going to say? Kids at home, sorry, guys, you don't get to see me pour beer tonight. What is the beer we poured tonight? Well, it is this one if you're looking at the cameras. This is from Furnace Room Brewery, a brewery I've never heard of, but I'm told by their can, wait, I swear to God I saw it, that they're from Georgetown. I don't know. I think that's where they're from. I can't see it on the can. I'm trying not to read it, although I did notice when I picked it up, not a lot of information on there, so I don't know what I would have gleaned, even if I had read it. The point is, Furnace Room Brewery has produced this beer here, and it is called Chicken Man Pale Ale. You know what that makes me think of? Well, they blew up the Chicken Man in Philly last night, and they blew up his house, too. Down on the boardwalk, they're getting ready for a hell of a fight. Gonna see what those racket men can do. There's trouble busting in from out of state now. You know what? I'm going to stop. That, by the way, was a terrible rendition of Atlantic City by Bruce Springsteen. And if you were one of the unfortunate people holding tickets for a Bruce Springsteen concert somewhere in the world, was it in Europe? I think it was in Europe. Bruce has had to cancel a couple of dates coming up because apparently going like this, well, they blew up the Chicken Man in Philly last night. It's really bad for your voice, especially when you do it very loud into a microphone for 4 hours, 4 nights a week. Apparently, that can do a real number on the old vocal cords, and his vocal cords have had a number done on them. So the boss, we're thinking of you here on the Toronto Beer Podcast. I like to think of you as a friend of the podcast, even though I guarantee you've never listened to it once in your life. I was going to say might not drink. No, he drinks. He drinks. That's not that special, and they were doing shots of tequila. So he at least drinks shots of tequila. Well, anyway, back to this. Furnace Room Brewery. Is this song a beer, a reference to the song Atlantic City by Bruce Springsteen? Is it a reference to organized crime in Atlantic City in the 1970s? I don't know. Will any of these questions get answered drinking the beer? Almost certainly not. But you know what? We're going to give it a try. As noted, kids, I'm sorry. Look at that. Woo, it's like a cooking show. It's already been poured. It does have a nice fluffy white head, and I will tell you this. I poured this about 10 minutes ago. If you're watching the video, you can see there's still maybe a finger's worth of head on there. It's supporting its head well. Now, that said, this is in a glass that does have a nucleation point at the bottom, which, of course, creates carbonation. But I'm going to give all the edge to the beer here. Further on the beer, it's slightly hazy, but it's mostly see-through. Could probably read through it if I needed to. Maybe not a legal document, but certainly a novella or maybe a poem. Do not. Oh, I went to just drop some poetry and I stumbled over my own words. Do not go quietly into that glorious night. I got to memorize that poem. That is a poem I think I would like to have memorized. Do you have a poem that you've memorized? I think people should probably just have a poem or two in their back pocket. The problem is you have to keep reciting it to keep it in your head. That's something I'd be willing to do. Anyway, neither here nor there. Let's talk about this beer. Let's drink it. And you know what? It's late, guys. I know I said we're having a minor realignment. My daughter Grace still has rugby practice on Tuesday. I mean, what is it today? Monday. Sorry, guys. I'm a little discombobulated right now. I'm hoping that with the sampling of this beer, I will become combobulated. But there's only one way to find out. You know what? You don't need to know about my daughter's rugby and anything else. Let's just talk about this beer. It's late. I want to talk about this beer. This is Moo of the Chicken. I gotta stop singing. This is Furnace Room Brewery Chicken Man Pale Ale. Looks good. Okay, well, I don't. It smells fine. It smells good. Again, I know nothing about this brewery. The only reason why I'm a little here, this smells like a lot of Ontario Pale Ales. Do you remember that about 8 years ago, 10 years ago? Everybody made a pale ale and it was an Ontario Pale Ale. And here were the things you needed to know about an Ontario Pale Ale. It had Cascade hops in it. It probably also had a little Citra. It definitely had crystal malt, often honey. And it was just this, it was this hard to pull off balance where they were trying to keep it a little Englishy, but also trying to make it a little American-y. I mean, actually, to be fair, for a Canadian or Ontario style pale ale, that's a pretty good understanding of kind of where we all are emotionally. Still trying to be a little British, you know, spelling a lot of words with U's that a lot of Americans would have without U's, for instance. But trying. Anyway, you know what? Let's have a sip. This smells a lot like an Ontario Pale Ale. I would almost guarantee there's crystal malt in here, and I'm pretty sure Cascade, and probably Citra, and maybe something else. Something maybe a little earthier. Well, let's take a sip. That's fine. That's tasty. That's tasty. Definitely got some crystal malt in there. Yeah, definitely some crystal malt, which is fine. It's fine. It's just I think I got so scared. Every time I would taste crystal malt in a pale ale, I'd be like, "Oh, are we doing this again, guys?" I'm pretty sure there's crystal malt in Dale's pale ale. Just FYI, it's like it's a thing. It was part of the American pale ale lexicon for a while, and that's fine. This is fine. Yeah, a little musty and earthy, a little citrusy, not massively. Huh. This is the ongoing, am I crazy? I think there's a bit of wheat in here. I wouldn't have said that based on mouthfeel, although certainly head retention, that could be where it's coming from. But I also think I can just taste a bit of wheat in there. So that's believable. That would not be consistent with the Ontario Pale Ale. Yeah, a bit of musty, not quite even dank, just kind of musty, little earthy, little forest flory. There could be some bittering hop in there that's kicking a bit of that Columbus or something like that. That would fit. That would work. Anyway, point of the story. This pale ale, it's tasty. This is sorry. So I know I was flirting the whole thing with the Ontario Pale Ale back there. This is significantly better than what I would consider sort of the median Ontario Pale Ale of, the 20 teens. I think that's probably fair to say, 20 teens. After 2010, probably early 20 teens, just every brewery had to make a pale ale for some reason. And most of them didn't do a very good job at it. They just did a job where it was like, yeah, I'll drink that. This is better than that. This is in that wheelhouse. Actually, this is a little bit like, if I'm honest. There were a handful, like I think even Left Field specifically called, what was their pale ale? Maris, named after Roger Maris. I think they called it an Ontario Pale Ale. And it was really well executed. It did everything that it was supposed to do, which is, again, say Cascade and Citra. And Citra too. I meant Crystal. This might even be honey malt, the more I'm drinking it. It did all those things. And it did it really well. Well made, well balanced, tasty. There were many breweries doing the same thing, but with much less acumen. This Furnace Room Brewery Chicken Man Pale Ale. I'm just noticing there is a fella on this can riding a bicycle with a chicken on it. I don't remember if that is in allusion to the gangster called the Chicken Man well, it's funny. I said Atlantic City. That's what the song is from. He, of course, was a gangster in Philadelphia because, as I poorly sang, they blew up the Chicken Man in Philly last night. They blew up his house too. And I don't believe Georgetown is anywhere near Philly. I'm going to assume that maybe there's a fella in Georgetown who rides around on a bicycle with a chicken, as detailed in this can. This is a tasty pale ale. It's an Ontario pale ale, absolutely. If you've got some bad history, bad baggage with this style of beer, I would even still say give this a try, because this is what it should taste like. It's well made, it's well balanced. There's enough hop presence. It's not quite bitter, but it's like hoppy, snappy, nice, earthy, little, what was the word I was using? Dank? Not dank. Musty. Some citrus, nice. Again, I think there's a bit of wheat in there, which out of character. Great head retention. Yeah, a little musty. Musty is the word I'm going on that hop presence. And again, I'm going to assume C hops, Cascade, maybe Chinook bittering, but only a little. It's not aggressively bittered. And I assume there's Citra in everything now, so I assume there's Citra in here. Finishes like maybe a little tannic and dry. It's tasty. It's tasty. I'll take it. Where did I get it? Well, I bought it at the LCBO over at on Leslie Street. Leslie south of Lakeshore. That one. Yeah. And literally, aside from Canuck, I think it was the only other pale ale, and I just wanted to keep riding this pale ale trail. Pale ale trail. Pale ale trail? Pale ale trail. What would you eat with this? I don't know. Barbecue? You know what? I don't know why. Are you familiar with the book Blink by Malcolm Gladwell? He posits that with a certain amount of expertise, one might get the ability to make a snap judgment, not based on a thought process. They being the one in this case, didn't consult the knowledge in their brain and then formulate an idea. They just let their brain go. And their brain did a thing, and they trusted their brain. There's some fantastic stories in this book, by the way. If you've not read this book, it's a very interesting thing. Does Malcolm Gladwell often essentially oversimplify very complicated concepts for the sake of explaining difficult yet interesting ideas to a wider audience? Absolutely. All the time. Do I think he's wrong? I don't ever think he's particular. I say ever. I want to couch that a little bit. I've never come across something that I've thought Malcolm Gladwell said, that's patently wrong. Patently wrong. I've never thought that. That said, I think there are times when I think there's probably a bit more going on there than this really tidy, stitched up idea. But that tidy, stitched up idea gets us most of the way there. And again, if it gets people thinking about these things, great. He has this thing in blank. People can make a snap judgment. I always hesitate. That's a big claim, by the way. If you're going to self-identify as like, well, I just made a blank judgment, because what you're saying is you're an expert. And there are not too many things. Not too many things in this world where I would say I both have that level of expertise and I have that current level of engagement. So there are a number of things in my life that I've done with a certain level of skill and accuracy. But some of that, I mean, I was a professional chef. I wouldn't necessarily trust my blank judgment on cooking things, because I still do cook, but not to the same level. But my engagement with beer hasn't changed too much. Well, even as I said that, I had a picture of me sinking PBRs on the rugby pitch. The important thing to remember here is when I drink beer, I still think about the beer that I'm drinking, and I think about what it tastes like, and I think about why it tastes the way that it tastes. And that's what I'm doing with this beer. Anyway, all this to say, like 5 minutes later, what are you going to eat with this? For some reason, pumpkin. To the best of my senses, I don't taste pumpkin in this beer, nor would I expect to. That said, this earthy, slightly musty, hoppy note, I think, would actually play well with pumpkin. But probably not sweet pumpkin, like not a pumpkin pie. I mean, you'd probably be very happy. I would be very happy to be eating pumpkin pie right now with this beer. I didn't turn off my fridge. And you know what? I'm not going to. Everything about this episode is a throwback to 4 years ago. I'm going to pretend like I don't have a power switch for this refrigerator, which I do. I bought it. We're just going to let it rattle. This is an absolute shambles. And I'm sorry, guys. My brain's not 100% in this. But pumpkin. What are we going to have pumpkin? Oh, I know exactly. Oh, I'm so glad you asked. Now, look, this is probably something you're going to have to make. And as just discussed, I was a chef. Like, I'm a classically trained French chef. So you're just going to have to pull on your big person pants and learn how to make some stuff. This beer is going to go really well with pumpkin ravioli. You are going to have to figure out how to make ravioli. And there's, two different tracks to get there. One is you can buy sheet pasta and you can make ravioli with it. The other is you can make sheet pasta, and it's not that hard, although it does require some specialized equipment, because rolling pasta that thin, that's not something you want to do with a rolling pin. That's something you need a physical roller to do. I mean, I say that. You don't need it, but let's be honest with you, you need it. Anyway, sheet pasta or make your own sheets, it's fine. You're going to make some ravioli. Your filling for this, kids, if you want to make notes, now is the time to make notes. By the way, there's going to be no measurements here, so don't even ask. You need roasted pumpkin, check. You're going to scoop that flesh out of the shell, blend it smooth. Great, amazing. What's going to go in there? You're also in a pan going to caramelize lightly. You're not putting this stuff on a burger. We just want them to be browning, not browned. With me? Savvy. We need shallots and we need garlic. Okay? You're going to put that in with your mushy, roasty pumpkin. And then you're going to fold in some mascarpone cheese. How do you fold in mascarpone cheese? Ask David Rose. That's how. You fold it in, David. You fold it in. Once you have that mixture, it should be pretty stiff at this point. You're going to take that and you're going to make raviolis with your sheet pasta, whether you bought it or produced it yourself. Gosh, I hope you produced it yourself, but don't worry if you didn't. I won't judge you. I won't even know unless you tell me. You are going to boil those off in heavily salted water. And by heavily, do I mean should it taste like the ocean? No, I do not. I mean it should taste saltier than the ocean. If it tastes like the ocean, you're getting there, but you're not there yet. Saltier, please. Salty. We're aiming for about 5% salt, just so you know. The ocean, 3.5. The Dead Sea, 10. If you're at Dead Sea level, too salty, add water. If you're at ocean level, not salty enough, add more. Incidentally, if you don't know what the ocean tastes like, it tastes like tears. Tears in the ocean are not identical, but they're in the same wheelhouse. Salty water. You are going to boil that. While you're boiling that, you thought your job was done? You foolish thing. Heat up a pan. Maybe a nice big cast iron pan. Maybe a nice nonstick pan. I don't care what. Just make sure it's not sticky. Do not use a plain steel pan here. That's going to hurt everybody in your life that you care about. Heat it up. Get some oil in there. Some high smoke point oil. That'd be great. If you want to throw a little onion and garlic, maybe some shallot in there, you can. You can wake things up a little bit, but you don't have to. But you can if you want to. If you want to, do that. The two things that you are going to add are black pepper and sage. We're using fresh sage, so when I say you're going to add that, don't add it yet. Just have it on hand. Chopped up fresh sage. Once your raviolis are done, you're going to drain them. Drain them well, because the better you drain them, the less that's going to spit at you when you throw it in that really hot pan with oil. Then throw it in the hot pan with oil, toss it around, get everyone real nice and coated. Butter, by the way, here would be great. Olive oil is fine too. Extra virgin, stay away. We want it hotter than that. We want hot. Smoke point of extra virgin olive oil, I believe, is like 380 or something like that. We want it in the 4s, at least. We want this hot, sizzling, popping. Butter, great. Other oils, fine. That'd be good too. Toss them around, throw in your sage, turn off the heat. You can throw in some pine nuts at the end if you want to. Toss that around, slam it on a plate. Grate of pecorino or Parmesan cheese. Done. Drink it with this beer. I don't even remember what beer this is. It's been so long. This is Chicken Man Pale Ale from Furnace Room Brewing. By the way, it does not taste like this was kept in the furnace room. Don't keep your beer in the furnace room unless you have a refrigerator in your furnace room. Eat this with pumpkin ravioli. Come back here next week. I'm going to be back. Guys, I'm done. It's late and my brain's not in it. I'm glad you joined me. I'm glad you joined me. This has been fun. This is a tasty beer. This is like a good execution Ontario Pale Ale. I'll take it. I'll take it. Which is good because I have a couple more in the fridge. Next week, who knows? Still on Pale Ales? We'll have to see. I have a friend who makes a pretty good Pale Ale as an homage to Dale's Pale Ale. I'm not saying, I'm just saying, maybe I could see. Maybe we could do that. I don't even know if she has it available. Ooh, spoilers, it's a she. You guys can probably do the math. If you listen to this podcast and you don't know who I'm talking about right now, that's great. I love your new beer fan scent. Frig, I gotta get out of here. This is dumb. This is Chicken Man Pale Ale from Furnace Room Brewery. I bought it at the LCBO. They probably... Oh, I haven't even looked at the can, by the way. Furnace Room Brewery, 1A Elgin Street, Georgetown. Did I say Georgetown? I think I said Georgetown. Ontario, Canada, L7G3M2. Oh, they do have ingredients: water, malted barley, wheat, ka-ching, hops, yeast. Contains barley and wheat. Well, there we go. They don't say what hops, but I think I'm onto something here. There's Cascade. There might be some Chinook. Probably some Citra, because put Citra in everything. Don't be stupid. Just get it in there. It's tasty beer. It's a solid Ontario Pale Ale. It's a really good Ontario Pale Ale. I was going to say bring them back. Actually, don't. Most of them weren't great. Bring back the ones I liked. This is fine. Maris, that'd be nice. Don't know the last time Left Field made that. Other notable Ontario Pale Ales? None off the top of my head. If you've got one, like, comment, subscribe. Hit me up in the DMs. I don't even know what I'm supposed to say here. Listen to my buddy Rob Currie and the Currie Brothers. This song is a banger. The link to buy it's in the description. I don't even know why I'm still telling you this. You should have bought it by now. And if you haven't, buy that before you buy Chicken Man Pale Ale from Furnace Room Brewing. They blew up the Chicken Man Philly last night. They blew up his house too.